Today's guest is Sharon Sananda Kumara. Sharon has a successful practice as a psychic medium and hypnotist, specializing in past life therapy. She is also the founder of Kumara Academy of Transformation. Sharon experienced an intense spiritual awakening after her second near-death experience in 2001, and we're going to learn more about that today. Sharon, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you, and welcome.
Oh, well, thank you, Jeff. Thank you for reaching out, and I'm very, very happy to be here.
Awesome. All right. My audience loves to hear about near-death experiences, so can we start on the day that your most impactful one happened, which I believe in 2001?
Yes, this happened June 11th, 2001, and how it started. It started with, a wonderful day. I lived in San Antonio, Texas, and some girlfriends and I were on a tubing trip down the Guadalupe, which I'm sure you're familiar with, being
Yes.
in San Antonio. And we had a great day. It was for a birthday, like I said. And what happened was, after the trip, we all climbed onto the shuttle bus, which they were using, a little school bus that held, I think it was 13 max or something like that. And the shuttle bus was pulling a trailer that had our ice chests and our inner tubes and all that in it. And so we got on the bus, and I was the first one of our group to get on the bus to take us back at the end of the day, back to our cars. And it was full. As soon as I got on, I saw the bus was full. So something told me to turn around and get off. So I started to, but they're in the back of the bus. They're like, come on, you can stand. So I went to, my friends and I piled on. We were the last group to get on. There was 6 of us. And so my back was up against the back door. And I was trying not to lean up against it, but as he was driving, and we take off, and as he's driving, he's shifting through gears. It's a manual bus, or an old bus. And as he's driving down the road, the back door pops open, and I fall out of the bus. And I remember everything at that point, and I end up bouncing off the trailer hitch, and I bounce under the trailer, and the trailer, it was going in slow motion. I remember it was kind of slow motion. I remember thinking, and because I knew I was going to get run over, and the trailer ends up running over my head. And that's when I popped out of my body. And I remember screaming in my head, "Stop! You're going to kill me."
Wow.
No, what I said was in my head, "You're killing me. You're killing me." And as soon as the trailer ran over my head, I popped out of my body. And I remember the feeling of my head being kind of, felt like it crushed my head, and pain. And then all of a sudden I'm peaceful. I'm out of my body. I'm like, oh, okay. And it felt like, okay, well, here I am again. And I remember seeing a bus coming toward my body, and I didn't see, he hadn't stopped yet. And I remember thinking, I hope that bus stops. And I'm looking down. I hope that bus stops before it runs over my body. But I didn't really feel a connection to the body. I just knew that it was my body. And the other thought that came to my mind was, oh man, we had a really awesome day, and here I go and die on my friends. And this is really going to ruin their day. I remember thinking, this is really going to ruin their day. But I was like, okay, this is what we do. This is natural, like, another one down the drain kind of thing, And so at that point, I got kind of bored with the scene. By then, there's no time. I just remembered everything that was happening. The bus stopped, and I see my friends get off, and they're running around. And at that point, I was just watching the scene, and I remember turning around because I didn't want to watch it anymore. It just looked kind of boring to me. You know what I mean? And so I I turned around and took my attention off the scene. And when I tell the story, I get emotional. But and I remember seeing my dad, my stepdad, because I had lost my stepdad 3 years earlier. 3 years, yeah, he died in '98, and I was really happy to see him. And he telepathically, and he's standing away from me, telepathically told me that it wasn't my time. And I remember thinking, but can I stay with you, kind of thing. It was telepathic. Mm-hmm. And he turned around and, you know, to kind of point or just take me in the direction in the distance. And so much happens all at once. It's hard to put it in, you know, in our linear time frame. And then that's when I saw what we call the tunnel or the portal kind of thing. And what I recall was there were people down the portal or the tunnel that I recognized from this life, and also that I recognized were people that I knew or relatives that I knew from that I didn't know in this life, if that makes any sense. I just knew them. And I just remember seeing them, and they had a smile on their face, but there was really no communication. And I'm not moving really fast. I'm just kind of floating in that direction. And then I see this really bright light like a sun, and off in the distance, and it's super, super bright, but it doesn't hurt my eyes. It's just super bright. And it's just like the sun. It has that golden and that white and that color. And then and I'm gazing at it, and I don't remember having any thought at that point. And then a figure walks out of that light. And I recognize, and it's a light being. He's still with light, and I actually recognized him at that point. I recognized him. I was I call him Yeshua or Jesus. I call him the Hebrew name Yeshua, and I recognize him as Jesus. I was raised Catholic, and I wasn't a good Catholic, but my family, you know, we didn't really follow the Catholic religion or anything like that. I went to Catholic school for I think 5 years, something like that, around there. And my parents got divorced, so they were kind of excommunicated way back when. And my grandmother was a strict Catholic, but she was just really, talking about everything was a sin almost. So as kids, we didn't like going to church, or we just didn't agree with it. We were kids. We didn't want to do it. We wanted to be out playing. So anyway, so my point is that it wasn't something that I, had a relationship with him at that time. Okay. And I always knew that felt that there was a higher power, that there was a God, but I just didn't resonate with the teachings that we were being taught in Bible school and stuff like that. So anyway, but I recognized him as this being that I knew was just pure love. And I flew to him, and he embraced me, which is something that it's hard to describe, being in that merging with that pure love and that pure light. It's tangible. I heard one thing I remember very distinctly is his laughter. Because we were communicating and saying I didn't want to go back, and he's saying but it's not your time. This is important. It's important that you go back. And so he took me on a trip. Okay. And he took me through the cosmos. What you have behind you looks very familiar. And he took me through, he took my hand and he said, let's take a trip. Would you like to take a trip with me, or take a journey? And so I did. He took my hand and we went through the cosmos, that I do remember seeing the stars and everything like that, and whatever that was all about. I just know that I was with him, and that's all I cared about. And he took me to a water planet, and what he communicated to me was, this is a planet that that I resonate with the most, and it's like a home planet kind of for me, and that I have a family there. I mean, I've learned that we're multidimensional, and we coexist in all types of realities. And so what he said was, when I finish my mission here on Earth, this will be where I will be my awareness, rather than the Earth awareness, my main awareness, if that makes any sense. Like I could go there and experience that for as long as I want. It's kind of like my reward, I guess. I don't know, but I chose to be here, and we chose to be here, and then I remember, people say they remember the light, and you can't describe the light and everything like that. There was a lot of communication there, and a lot of the information that I got from him and the conversations we had came in bits and pieces afterwards, because it was so much. It was such a huge download. It wasn't anything that I could hold on to at that, right away in real time. So to me, that was what that experience was all about, is for me to, I call it my awakening, for me to wake up to what, I guess my role here, my purpose on the planet. Because I was, I had a job as a bookkeeper for an oil company. And so I wasn't spiritually aware or anything like that. I was just kind of a party girl and didn't really, just kind of figured, there's somebody big looking out after me, because I probably should have died a bunch of times. So I knew that. But there was so much information that came through after in bits and pieces that it would take a whole book, which I want to work on. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was the second near-death experience. And then when I remembered that near-death experience, I remembered the one I had when I was 9. And that one, came clearer when I was with this near-death experience. I do remember some things from being a child, but not my childhood is very. I don't have a lot of memories of my childhood. Okay, this one I remembered, or this experience I remembered in this near-death experience very clearly at that point where I was being abused by a family member, and he was trying to kill me, and so he did at this point. And I remember the pain where he hit me in the ribs, and I just remember that sharp pain. And then I popped out of my body the first time. And what happened was I was met by the same being, by Jesus, Yeshua. And he took my hand, and he said, "You don't have to go back. You've suffered enough." He called me my child. "You've suffered enough." And this one was kind of short. The one in 2001 was, I don't know, in terms of our time, maybe a couple minutes, if that. If people have had near-death experiences, I understand that they can be gone for years, centuries on the other side, when it's just a few seconds here, that kind of thing. So that's probably, I understand that's what happened to me, of course, but I don't know how long in time that happened here. So, because I don't have anything to gauge it with, my heart stopped or monitors in a hospital or anything like that. I don't have anything to gauge it on how long that time was here. I just know my experience. And so when he told me I didn't have to go back, and I didn't have to go back, and I told him that I wanted to go back because I hadn't finished what I was supposed to do, and that I didn't want to have to start over. And so after a little bit of coaxing, he let me come back, and or just agreed. Yeah, I don't think there's any we have free will to some extent. But in 2001, I was in my 40s, and they're like, you don't have time to come back again and start over. So it was a wake-up call for me. After that, in 2001, when they took me to the hospital, the only thing I had, there was definitely an angel, definitely, they healed my body, a lot going on where I wasn't hurt as bad as I should have been. I probably should have either died. Well, I did die, but I should have been paralyzed or something like that with the accident that happened. But I just had muscle and tendon damage. I had road rash, on my legs, and I do have a scar on my head. They joked with me at the hospital that I had tire tracks across my head, and so my hair was falling out too. But I was very blessed that I wasn't hurt a lot worse than I was. I still have to maintain the pain in my back, but it's pretty incredible.
So
that's the short synopsis.
No, that's great. I think it was fantastic. So how did you actually come back after I think Jesus showed you like the water planet and you flew around the cosmos? Did he just say, okay, it's time to go back, bye? And then you pop back in?
Yeah, right. I remember having that conversation somewhat of not wanting to come back. And he was being very, very gentle and very patient with me. and it was pretty abrupt. I remember we weren't in a place, we weren't anywhere, you know what I mean? We were just in that space together where we were having that conversation. And before I knew it, I was in my body. It just like that, I'm in my body. And then that's when I was feeling all the pain. And I remember that the first time too. As soon as boom, I'm back in my body, it's when and I felt the most immense peace when I was a little girl, especially. As soon as that, because that was a really intense pain. I'm going to say that was more pain than I felt in the one in 2001 in when I was 9. And then that peace. In this one, it was like, oh, okay. I just, I didn't feel the pain because it was very quick. And the transition was so quick that I didn't even remember any pain. But I was back in my body just like that. And there's the pain again.
When you came back, where were you? Still on the street, or did you come back already in the hospital?
Still on the street.
Still on the street. So, okay.
No, still on the street. So I jumped up at that point.
You actually just got up and said, I'm better.
I jumped up.
Interesting.
Well, I wasn't better, but
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know.
Did your friends tell you how long you were out for? Until you came back? Did they say, wow, you were out for like 20 minutes or 5 minutes or anything like that?
No, they didn't notice that I was out. They didn't know because they kept going down the road. Oh,
wow. I mean, I would assume all your friends were screaming, going nuts after you fell out. And at some point you had to stop and come back, or...
That's exactly what happened. And the gal in front of me was pregnant, 5 months pregnant. I'm glad I didn't grab onto her. And pull her with me because, when you're falling, you tend to grab onto something.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I don't know at what point when they were running around and trying to get back to me, when I popped back, they didn't say anything to me about it. How, gosh, you were out or anything like that. It wasn't a priority because I jumped up pretty quickly.
That's amazing.
I think.
Oh, that's an amazing story. So did Jesus ever look like what you see in pictures or paintings, or did he more look like a light being to you?
At that time, he looked more like a light being, but he was projecting it's hard to describe. He was projecting a image to me that was something that I would recognize, I feel. And there's only one or two paintings or I call them photos, the ones I resonate with, that look similar to how I see him in my mind's eye even now. Okay. Because he's, been with me, and a lot of them I don't resonate with at all. But there's one that I really resonated with, and it hit me. This woman who had a near-death experience, and she said that Jesus told her to go back, because she was an artist, and paint or draw what he looks like. And when I saw that, it was like, whoa, that's very, very close. And it's his eyes, mostly his eyes. His eyes are what really stands out, of course, because that's where the light is. But as far as a physical appearance, that was something he projected to me. That was, he was light-skinned. He had long hair, a beard, not a long beard, but just, a beard like this. He had his eyes. The way he looked at me was something that you just can't get anything like that here. It was more than just, it was adoration. You know what I mean? It was where, when he looked at me, and when he looks at us, there's nothing else in the world except for that connection between you and him. That's total love, unconditional love that you can't get it anywhere else. Yeah.
Wow.
That's all I can say about that.
What else is there to say, in a way? I had a question, and I started messing around. I started joking around, and then I lost what I was going to say. It's okay. It's my fault.
That's all right. Joking's good.
Would you consider this a spiritual experience or a religious one, since Jesus is involved?
I don't consider it religious at all. I consider it spiritual. And I believe that since it was the Yeshua who showed up for me, it's because of my history. And I mean, if Buddha showed up for me, or Muhammad or anything like that, I'm not saying that I wouldn't be in awe and feel their light, because they are immense light beings as well, immense teachers, immense masters. But because of my relationship with him, after he started, the last name Kumara is of what I understand is of his family. Okay. And so Sananda Kumara is what I understand is his name in the higher planes. And and so I remembered that name after working with him, because he started working with me very intensely not long after that. And we made an agreement that he would be there with me and work with me. And so that was part of our conversation. And now I lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
So as far as, our relationship, I did have a past life memory after he started working with me on all our past lives and healing and clearing and healing and clearing. I made an agreement with him that I would be in my room every night at 9:00 for meditation. And he worked with me very intensely in my room. It was my classroom. And I could mentally see my teachers in my room with me. And a past life that he needed to help me clear was when I was being a nun, and I had another telepathic relationship with him as a nun. A psychic relationship, whatever you want to call it, telepathic, intuitive relationship. And unfortunately that ended very badly because I was punished for saying that I had a intuitive or psychic relationship with Jesus when the priests were the only ones that were supposed to have that at that time, and so even though we were supposed to be married to God, right? I mean, Yeshua is a man that walked the earth, but so they ended up torturing me in that lifetime, which I remembered very clearly as he was helping me walk through it, and wanted me to, say that I was communicating with Satan or, that kind of thing, that it wasn't Jesus I was talking to. And so I ended up dying in that lifetime. They put a board on me, they put rocks on me, stones, and crushed me to death. And when I died, I felt betrayed by God and by Jesus in that lifetime. And which is why I didn't resonate with any type of religious teachings after that. Not that I do now either, but it happened for a reason, but I wasn't able to clear that after my death. And so this lifetime was the one that he and I came together. He came together with me to help me clear that, so I could trust that relationship again, and work with him in that way. So as far as that's a long answer for you. I don't see it as religious at all. I see it as spiritual, and I see it as someone who came to me because that's what I needed. And I believe that we are met by whoever we need individually.
So it sounds like that you took his name as part of your name.
Mm-hmm.
Is that correct? Am I correct?
That's correct.
That's a correct assumption. All right. So do you feel like, are you a nun at this time?
No.
And married to Jesus, and that's why you took his name?
I didn't take his name. I earned it. Yeah. So when that happened was during my meditations, during my teachings, during my remembering. I call it remembering. And I was going through that's when I was going through my quickening, which was very, very intense, very intense. And, anyone who's gone through a quickening might think they've gone crazy. And that's exactly what I thought.
Let me stop you there. What is a quickening?
A quickening is a very intense awakening where you are bringing up a lot of past life history, I went all the way back to Atlantis, all the way before that, where all of these negative experiences that were not resolved at the time were being cleared. And what I've learned, and I work with people, is that this time right now that we're in is very critical for us to be bringing these things up and clearing them, because we get stuck on that wheel of reincarnation and coming back to repeat our patterns, repeat our programming. So that's what a quickening is. You might be communicating with unseen beings, things like that. You open up wide open. So things just start happening where you just feel like you're going crazy. You don't know what's happening. I had one little pinky toe in this reality, and the rest of me was in other realities. So as I was working with him, because I was working with lots of teachers, he helped me understand that that name was part of my lineage, I guess you could say, the Kumara lineage, and that we all come from different lineages. We're all connected. We're all one anyway, but we have these different lineages, these different timelines and lineages. That the Kumara family was part of my lineage, and there's millions of us on the planet, and so I had come to a point where I had gone to this, graduated to a point in my learning, in my growth, my spiritual growth, where the name of Sharon Sananda Kumara was taken all the way to the Godhead. So it is recognized in all the frequencies, meaning I can travel with that name through all those frequencies. Mm-hmm. Because I am a traveler. We're all travelers, but this is a conscious travel.
Is Sananda Kumara a Hindu name?
What I understand is the Kumara brothers. I don't know if it's Hindu. Mm-hmm. I think that I never really looked it up, mm-hmm. but I understand that. Well, I take that back. I did look at the Kumara brothers, and I don't know if it's Hindu. I just know that what I understand is that the Kumara brothers came to the planet a very, 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 very long time ago. There's Sananda, Sanat, and I think there's one or two others. I'm not sure. But they came to the planet a long time ago to help humanity on this planet to give the humans on the earth people on the planet tools to grow, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yoga, lots of things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's been a while since I've delved into anything like that, but I don't know if it's Hindu or not. I can't answer that.
You know, what's interesting is that I'm pretty sure I had a podcast guest probably about 50 back or so, and she had met Jesus, and I think the name for Jesus was something like that, Sananda Kumara. And I think I went and looked it up, and it may have been kind of like one of those beings that you see in Hinduisms that are kind of blue looking. And it's interesting that you are the second person that I've had now. And I think that a guest originally said that that was Jesus's name prior to Jesus. Would you say that that's Jesus's name?
Oh,
prior to Jesus is Sananda Kumara?
Yes, Sananda. Sananda, I understand, is his brother.
Okay.
In the higher realms. Yeah.
Right.
That's what I understand. That Sananda is actually the energy of Jesus who came to the planet to do what he needed to do in that time. I understand he's been here. He's been on this planet in different forms 3 or 4 times. I think Elijah was one. And yes, definitely this is his, what I understand is the name frequency that he goes by in the higher planes. And of course we all, have different names in different realms, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because you wouldn't be Jeff in another frequency or another life.
I hope I have to refrain. I'm gonna start. I just want to make jokes again, but
that's okay.
So would you say that Jesus was not source energy or God, though? Would you say that Jesus is separate?
No, I don't believe any of us are separate.
Or we're all
I believe
part of
that
it?
we're all source energy, having a human experience, and that we are. I believe that, and I believe that that's what he taught us in his teachings, which his teachings have been changed over the centuries, right. But edited. But I believe that he is source energy, that just like we are source energy, that he came here and had a human experience. He was just able to bring in more source energy, and he had the awareness of a master. And because of who he is, because he has that soul, I guess you could say, that huge persona or ascended master that he is, had the awareness within him, or the awareness that he was able to bring to this, into that body, where he didn't have a lot of lifetimes that he had to clear up. Just like we do.
Right.
Yeah. So he had that advantage.
Do you feel like he wanted to be worshipped, like as what seems to be wanted on Earth?
No, not at all. No, I don't feel that at all. In my conversations with him, he's everyone has their own personal relationship with whoever they resonate, a master teacher, whoever they resonate with. But in my conversations with him, that he's upset about, in how he can be upset, but about the way his teachings have been skewed and misaligned, because his teachings are and were about how we need to understand how powerful we are, and that we can do, like there's one quote in the Bible, what I do, you can do more, right? You can do and more. I'm not a good Bible scholar at all. I never read the whole Bible, but so things like that. So he was able to, his goal, what I understand, is to help us remember that we are masters just like him. We just don't have that awareness because of our filters and what we've been through. And he has complete compassion for all of us, and that's why he's still here, trying to help us get through this planetary shift.
Did he give you any indication of if or when he's coming back?
I think that's misunderstood about him coming back. I believe he's already here with us. Okay, that we are him, people that walk the planet in love, that treat each other with compassion, that don't judge. That is, you're channeling his energy.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what he's all about, to have that compassionate heart and soul and help and be of service to others. I believe that is his return.
Are you still communicating with him now? And if so, is it usually through meditation?
I communicate with him all the time. It's through thought transfer. I'll ask him a question or I'll talk about him and I feel him right. I feel him close. Meditation, yes, I can. It's just when you start, people who communicate with ascended masters and higher teachers will know that as you communicate with them and as you work with them, there becomes a merging of your energies, and then they become a part of you and you become a part of them. And so there's that how do I put it, that marriage, that dance that you have with them all the time. So you're actually walking, as much as you can as, part of them, or one of who they are, one of them. That's when you take on your mastery, is when you're merging with these beings that are already a part of us anyway. Jesus is a part of all of us, just like Muhammad, Buddha, all the, Krishna, all the teachers, all the holy teachers out there, and I channel them too. It's just a matter of owning what I feel and I've experienced, owning our mastery.
I don't want to leave the subject, but I want to ask you this. I'm going to change gears on you just for a second here.
Sure.
After your experience, how long was it until you started speaking about it publicly? For example, did you immediately tell your friends once you kind of pulled yourself together, wow, you can't imagine just what happened to me, or what?
No, it was, I'm going to say a year, maybe. I didn't pinpoint it, but at least a year, because I didn't understand, a lot of what was happening. And it's not so cut and dry. It wasn't as cut and dry for me anyway. Mm-hmm. These memories and what was actually happening. And I was going through a process. So I didn't feel the need to, go out there and shout at the rooftops, hey, I had a near-death experience, you know what I mean? And all this and everything. I didn't feel worthy of it, to be honest with you. I didn't feel worthy of being in his presence when I came back here. When I'm there, it's different. But when I'm here, I didn't feel worthy. I'm like, why would he want to have anything to do with me? You know what I mean? I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it. So it's just it's something that I had to deal with, and he helped me through. He actually saved my life.
It's interesting that you put that you said you weren't worthy of it, because people email me or they ask me in the comments, and someone had a good question that wanted me to ask the guests, was something like, so many people on the planet are praying to Jesus or whoever else and want to experience Jesus and want to have some kind of communication with Jesus, and they don't really feel like they do, and only it seems like near-death experiencers do, or meditators or whoever else. What do you think about that?
I don't know. Yeah, it was definitely not anything that I expected or thought about or anything like that. Well, I think that people that want to have an experience with him just maybe have expectations on how it's supposed to happen. You know what I mean? I didn't believe it was him for a while, until I sat in meditation and he showed me a picture of, or gave me a projection of Sananda Kumara, who I saw. I happened to see a Sananda Kumara not photo, well, it was a painting or a drawing or whatever, the artist said was Sananda Kumara, and he had a beard and he had long white hair, and looked like the typical being, wise man being, light being. And he showed me that, and I just had this, it hit me in all my chakras. Oh my gosh, this is who you are. I recognized him. So, but it was more than just, it was just a knowing. Okay. But as far as people who, pray to Jesus and, come to me, show to me, there's a lot of things I pray for. I ask the ships to come down and get me, I ask for UFOs. Can I see any UFOs? I know that I have experiences as a kid and stuff like that, but what about now? How come you don't talk to me now? So, I can't answer that. All I know is that, it happens when you least expect it, and maybe they need to go into a meditation. Maybe I've found, and what I've been taught is that when we're constantly praying, we're not listening. That praying is talking, meditation is listening. And it's, spirit, whoever God, Jesus, whoever you want to, our loved ones, whoever you want to hear from, we have to be quiet.
I think that's
amazing. Allow it to happen.
Yeah, I think that's amazing that you pointed that out there, that when you're praying, you're not listening.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So you had said that he took you to a planet, like a water planet, and I want to get to that and as a reward. But before we get to that, do you have a feeling of why we keep reincarnating over and over, and what's the point of it?
Sure. My feeling and what I understand from my teachers, it's funny that Yeshua, Jesus, Sananda is the one who taught me about reincarnation and taught me about past life soul retrieval and clearing our patterns. When, the Bible wrote a lot of the reincarnation stories out. So he did talk about it, that in our conversations. He helped me understand that we are, we come here to experience. We're source, right? Having human experience, having physical experience. We have experiences on other planets. We have parallel experiences, other realities. And so what we do is we experience. We come here to experience. We're source experiencing. And we choose, a lot of times we choose challenging experiences for soul growth, for spiritual growth, to help us move up into another frequency. And so we'll start on a planet like Earth, which is, in the far reaches of the galaxy. And so we start out on a low vibration, 3D, or we can start lower than that, because I did see a lot of forms that I'm in, that I was in before human form. And so what happens is that if we have a really traumatic experience that we chose, because of the slow frequency here on 3D, when we die, that we get stuck in a pattern and we end up not being able to move into the light and move across. And so we repeat those patterns until we resolve it and get it right. And I experienced a lot of that he helped me understand is moving forward, and that I needed to clear a lot of stuff in this lifetime. And again, this is a pivotal time for us to be clearing our stuff, is what I understand. And so that's why we come back. We come back here to experience, or any planets. We come here to experience. And I always say, if God only gave us this one life, then we got gypped. Because there's so much to experience, right? And so we come here to experience, we come here to love, we come here to heal, we come here to be of service to others. We come here because it's what we do.
Interesting. All right. I really liked how you talked about us being multidimensional beings, and you went to this planet that was all water, and it makes me think of a planet from Star Wars that was all water.
Oh.
Do you happen to, if you saw the planet, did you see any beings there? Like, were everybody basically fish, or were they like humanoid beings living on structures? Or did you not see anything at all? You just saw a planet from a distance?
No, what I experienced was we went further down into the planet, and what I experienced was very emotional for me because I experienced my family there, and we are I guess what you would call mer-people. Okay, so I saw myself as a fish being, mermaid, mer family. I had a mer family, I had a mermate, I have mer children, and we did have structures underwater, and actually went to meet my parents as well. Meet in this form. And they recognized that I was an earth human, so they're very aware and very intuitive. We communicate telepathically, and it was it was quite an emotional experience. I did not want to leave, and whenever I go back there, and he told me you can always come back here, in that way. Whenever I go back there, it was very emotional for me. So, I did see structures. We went to a crystal cave. He took me to a crystal cave, and I met a dolphin there, and it was rose quartz crystal cave, and the dolphin energetically gave me a gift of a rose quartz to take with me.
So you mentioned that you had some contact in the past as a child, and I believe that some people think that UFOs are traveling here interdimensionally, not just flying here, because it's too far away. And I think that some people, when they have NDEs, they experience or see aliens or ships and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on that, and have you seen that during your experience?
During my NDE, I do not recall seeing extraterrestrial beings, although I did have experiences with them as a child, which is another story. But I did not see ships that I recall during my near-death experience. And like I said before, not in this podcast, but I believe that my memories are the experience, everything that happened during that time, whatever time that was, comes to me in increments. Okay, so sometimes I'll get memories of things that just come out of nowhere, and I have to put it in that context. I always ask guidance. Where does this coming from? I journal, I record, and I communicate with them in meditation, or just sit in reflection. And so I ask them to give me information. But as far as I recall, I don't have communication with star beings in that near-death experience. But I do have connection with them anyway.
Makes sense. All right. Well, I'm going to switch gears on you here. You said you're working on a book. Do you have any other projects that you're working on that you want us to know about?
I'm working on 3 books, actually.
Wow.
One is I'm working on a past life therapy book, which I think is really, really important. I've compiled a lot of experiences from people that I've worked with and other people have worked with, and my own experiences through past life therapy and how it's helped them. And also I'm working on a book about my journey so far, with not just, I think my near-death experience was just a small part of my my journey. It's just a small part, a little nugget kind of thing, or both of them. And then also I'm working on a book about my experiences as a child with the extraterrestrials and how they helped me get through my childhood.
Do you have any recollection of what the beings look like from childhood?
The ones that were working with me, who I call my caretakers. Yes, I have lots of memories of extraterrestrials. And they were the little gray beans.
Okay.
And there were 3 of them. Yeah. And they were always there whenever I needed them. They would come in and heal my body and, take me on their ship. And I remember the healing wand that they would pass over me. And I remember the smell of it. It was like a lilac smell. That maybe that's what they wanted me to smell. And it was purple. So, and they would pass over my body when something needed to be healed.
Interesting. Did that happen before or after your NDE in childhood?
It happened before and after.
Oh, wow. All right.
It was happening. It was ongoing.
I would assume they may be still there. From what I have learned, that if NDEs are there, they're going to be there for your whole lifetime. Would you agree with that?
You're talking about my caretakers?
Yeah.
The little gray guys?
Yeah, I mean, in care.
Oh, yeah. They're...
I don't know why I said NDE.
Okay.
I mean, I should have said aliens.
Okay.
Extraterrestrials.
That's okay. Yeah. I've moved to a different level who I work with, but yes, they're always there. And whenever I think about them, I feel their love. And I know that a lot of people say that the little grays, and there probably are little grays that are, the drones. These, though, I felt emotion, I felt caring from. And if they, whatever the empathy they had for me, I felt very strongly. And so I've had out-of-body experiences where I've been taken or gone or showed up in places that were probably ships, where I've seen beings, in little short beings in like gray robes, and it wasn't an extraterrestrial face, but it was very deadpan face, but they were very happy to see me. And I've but I work with galactic beings now more.
All right, so I found you on YouTube, and I don't remember right now, but what is your YouTube channel?
It is my name, Sharon Sananda Kumara.
All right, so they can find you there. Do you have a website?
Yes, I do, and that is SharonSananda.com.
SharonSananda.com. Are you public
Yes.
on social media? And what I mean by that is, like, if someone reaches out to you and emails you on Facebook or your email, whatever, do you respond, or are you more of a private person?
I respond. I have a business. I run a business. So my goal is to help people remember who they are, remember, and remember what we need to do to get through this life as best we can. So I've gotten to the point where I'm very public.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, can't hide anymore.
Well, after this podcast, you may have people reaching out to you, and so that's why I just wanted to let them all know.
Oh, well, I hope so. Yes, I'm always, around for, I do sessions. I have a private practice, and I also teach classes. I have an academy, and I'm also looking for any teachers that want to teach, or any presenters for my academy, and anybody that wants to come on my YouTube channel as well, share experiences or their practice and get their word out there for their own practice too.
Oh, great. What do you think is the best type of meditation for beginners? That's a good question. I think the best is just, reflection. And I find that, everyone I think has their own favorite type of meditation, and I vary, but what I like to do is, and it seems harder these days to be able to get into a quiet space. What I do is I observe my thoughts rather than get attached to them, and just let my body breathe. I just quiet, don't judge my thoughts, just let them float across my mind. And then after a while, they start slowing down, and it might take a little while, because I need about an hour of meditation in order for me to get to that quiet space, but it might take 30 minutes for me to get there. And the longer I go in between without meditation, the longer it takes for me to get to that quiet space or quieter space. And sometimes I don't get there. So I'm like, okay, well, at least I have that quiet time and I have that reflection. So I don't think there's any right or wrong way, as I'm sure but they're focusing on your breath. Guided meditation is very helpful for people who maybe have a hard time with their mind wandering and not being able to bring it back to center. It's about bringing it back to center and just not being hard on yourself.
about it. Yeah, but reflection, I think, is really, really important for us to have that quiet time, no matter how you do it, or or what you do with it.
I think what my trouble is when I do it sometimes, and I usually just use guided ones, that I end up falling asleep. It's like maybe I need the rest or something.
Yeah, totally. I think if you sit up or something, in a position where you're not laying down, that helps. That helps me, because I have that problem sometimes. And I try not to do it so late. Do you do it late at night or before you go to bed? Or
maybe, or at least in the evening.
Yeah. I try to make it at a time where 7 at night or something like that, where it's not bedtime, and sit up to make sure that I'm my back is supported and my body's supported, and then I might listen to relaxing music or a guided meditation, and then just sit in quiet space. And you can also have an intention with the meditation, focusing on one thing and see what comes, connecting to your guides, connecting to to whoever you'd like to reach out to. They'll be there.
That's a good idea. All right, well, before we wrap it up here, do you have one last message that you can share with the audience?
Oh gosh. Put me on the spot. Well, trust yourself. Trust yourself. I think a lot of us, and I know I'm one of them, we don't trust what we're getting when it comes to our intuition. We don't trust the signs around us, trust what we're getting. I teach this in my classes too. The more we dismiss something as maybe a sign from God or a sign from spirit or anything like that, I've noticed that our channel constricts. So trust your intuition, trust the signs you're getting, and anything like you were talking about earlier, where people pray, Jesus, give me a sign or something. I think if you just allow anything to come rather than expecting something, and not having expectations, is really helpful. And just trust anything, any little thing. The more you trust any little thing, I've found the more signs you'll get, and the more you widen that connection with spirit. So that's been my experience, and what spirit has taught me, and what my guides have taught me.
That's good. Thank you. And thank you very much for being...
Thank you.
No, and thank you for being my guest, because without guests like you, I don't have a podcast. So I really appreciate you.
Oh, well, I appreciate you reaching out to me, and I'm very honored. I feel very honored to be here, and happy to be chatting with you. Thank you for allowing me to share some of my experiences.
Yeah, and you are fun, and I think you have a natural fun energy. That's why I wanted to start joking.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'm not a very serious person. Although my boyfriend might have a different opinion, but sometimes.
All right. Well, thanks again. I wish you massive success in everything you're doing, and I wish you the best.
Oh, well, thank you, Jeff, and the same to you.
All right. Thank you.
Namaste.
Have a great evening,
Okay.
Sharon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Oh, you too. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.